I'm excited about this next guest, long time friend of mine, a deep history with David Askin. David.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Can you hear? Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be talking with you. Can I give a little background about our relationship to the listening audience?
Please.
Or have you go in? So I guess it was 7 years ago where we got Rabbi Wolbe to come out to our shul in Humble, Texas. And I had this idea that, hey, we could probably get better participation if we did it when people are dropping off their kids at the Sunday school. And before they walk back out the door, we could barricade the door and say, come in here, let's learn Torah together. And we had Rabbi Wolbe teach Discovering God. And I know you were like my cohort in this. We were listening to it. And I know after that first class, we were just like, we had never, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I remember in this conversation, like I never heard the idea of God and his relationship and all this discussed on such an intellectual level. Did I recall that correctly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, it was brilliant of you to schedule him the way that you did, because my Sunday mornings before that were spent dropping Elizabeth off at Hebrew school and then proceeding to read the Houston Chronicle Sunday paper for about 3 hours at the Jack in the Box, nursing a cup of coffee as long as I could before they would throw me out. So it was such a better use of my time. But you are absolutely on point about bringing him in. And, let me just talk about my Jewish background. I grew up in Baltimore and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as a Reformed Jew. And my religious education, I was bar mitzvahed, and then that was it. I mean, I was done. And I did not come back like many Jews do. I didn't come back to Judaism until, of course, I would get drugged by my grandmother, to a Passover service when I was visiting in Baltimore or something. But beyond that, I didn't come back to Judaism until, like many of us do, our children are born and we have to make decisions about how we're going to raise them. And I'm from an interfaith family. My wife is a non-practicing Christian. And so, we basically agreed that if we had children, I wanted the child to be raised in as a Jew, and she had no problem with that. And so we had a child, and then it really wasn't an issue. Then we, had Elizabeth consecrated at a temple in Beaumont, and then she started Hebrew school. And then I actually started to go to Friday night services and the occasional bar bat mitzvah of a congregant. But I have to tell you, Dan, it was, the liturgy, shall we say, is repetitive to me. And I just didn't get a lot out of it. It was more of like a social event than anything else. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't until you brought Rabbi Wolbe in for those Sunday classes, and in pretty short order, 2 or 3 weeks, this entire world was opened of intellectually stimulating, challenging information about Judaism, theology, just really unbelievably in depth and incredibly stimulating, and opened what I would say was a whole new universe to me about what it was all about.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I remember those days. We were like coming out of the desert, and we finally found water, and we just could not stop, drinking from the fountain. I mean, and it impacted other people too, because you and I were like, we got to get more people into this. and we were bringing people in, and everyone was getting hooked. And it was a 6-part series. I remember when it was over, the educational chair said, so, do you want to continue to meet up? What would you guys like to do? And I said, let me talk to the class. I said, do you guys want to continue? I was like, yes, we want Rabbi Wolbe continue to teach. So like, you want to do another 5-part series, 6-part series, whatever you want? And they said, no, we want like every Sunday series. And since then, it's been going every Sunday except for Yom Tov the entire time, except it went online, of course, last year. But that's what Torah does to people. I mean, when they start hearing authentic Torah, they can't get enough. Now, you end up moving up to the Fort Worth, Texas area for a while, then the Woodlands. But even when you moved away, you started learning one-on-one with Rabbi Wolbe. I think you guys have done it like every week.
So I moved from Beaumont. I was transferred by my company. I moved from Beaumont to Fort Worth in 2015, and I was there for about a year. And then Rabbi Wolbe called me up, and he goes, "Hey, I'd like to study with you. Anything you want, Dave. Torah, Talmud, Jewish philosophy. What would you like to study?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, we'll just do a FaceTime once a week, whatever you're convenient, during your work hours. We'll stay flexible because you have meetings. I mean, I'm a lawyer, things come up." And so I have to tell you, we're now 4 years in. We have met, now it's Zoom, because Zoom is more reliable than FaceTime. The audio and video is certainly better. And I'm 4 years in, once a week, Tuesday afternoon, 60 minutes. And we are finishing up the Torah, the full 5 books, for the second time. We started with Sepharno commentary, and now we're finishing up on all the Rashi commentaries, and it's just unbelievable. Let me make a couple of comments about Rabbi Wolbe and those classes more in general that you and I attended back in Humble. I'm a lawyer, and I know you're a financial guy, but I know you have an incredible interest in science. And I can only say, as a lawyer, I am all about evidence, argument, debate, questioning everything. And what's incredible about Torch, in particular Rabbi Yaakov Wolbe, with whom I'm most familiar, is he can actually offer proofs and show the truth and the accuracy of everything in the Torah. And that, to me, is just unbelievable. And I know you appreciate that too, being as interested as you are as sort of an amateur scientist, but certainly as a lawyer. And the fact that you can question everything,
right,
and get an answer, it's just unbelievable. So I've had the privilege both of the in-person classes as well as the past 4 years learning with him one-on-one, studying with him one-on-one, 1 hour a week. And I have taken advantage, but not as much advantage as I should, of the incredible library of podcasts that he has made. They're literally unbelievable. But let me just make a couple of other gratuitous comments here. What I love about Torch and Rabbi Wolbe and all of the Torch rabbis is they take everybody at whatever level they are at. Okay. I have attended adult education classes with other rabbis in other synagogues, and it doesn't matter how good or ill-informed the question may be, they're always taken with a genuine love of teaching. And so you're never embarrassed or reluctant or hesitant. And there are other Jews in those classes that are better read than I am of, certain, Heschel and other things like that, or the Mishnah, which I really haven't delved into yet. And but it's never hesitated me, because he takes you, the rabbis at Torch take you at whatever level you're at, and you never feel embarrassed or ashamed or anything else about asking what to some might be, a fourth grade question. I'll never forget, I mentioned the fourth grade. I was on I was in a one-on-one with Rabbi Wolbe, and I guess it's about 2 or 3 years ago. We were looking at a particular piece of scripture in the Parsha, and he got real excited. And he said, Dave, that is a really great question. I had that same question when I was in fourth grade. And he did not mean that in a demeaning sense or whatsoever. He was just excited that I had come up with, a precise question, but it was one that, because of his religious background and family background, he had just mentioned that he had come up with that same question in fourth grade. And here I am, 53 years old. And the other thing that there was just along these same lines, I know you probably have other questions for me, but there was a dinner a number of years ago, and it was I think it was the last one they held. Torch held a big fundraiser at the Westin Galleria.
The gala.
And and it was the gala, and I was there with a table of folks from Temple Bet Torah in Humboldt, and Rabbi Wolbe's brother made some comments, and the one thing to the whole group, and there was a couple hundred people there, and I wrote down along these same lines. I wrote down a quote that was really burnished in my mind, and he said this to the whole group. He said, and let me tell you, this audience, there was Orthodox, conservative, Reform, non-affiliated. I mean, it ran the gamut. And
Right.
He said something like, and I'm going to quote him to my memory, was, quote, "We are all Jews here. Quote, that is all that matters," unquote. And that goes, in my mind, to the incredibly inclusive nature of Torch, which, let me just tell you straight up, there is no better way to spend one's money after, of course, feeding and clothing your family, because what they do online, in person, it's just incredible. And the more Jews and others that it can teach and educate and kind of bring back into the fold at whatever level they want to be,
Right.
I'm still a Reformed Jew. I will always be a Reformed Jew. That's all they seek. That is all they seek, without pressure, with this inclusiveness, which is extraordinary.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David. I will say that I hear all the time that when he's studying with you, that you're the one student where he stresses a little bit and makes sure he's well prepared, because he knows you're going to come with questions. He tells us all the time, and there are no softballs when he's studying with you. So he absolutely loves the intellectual firepower that you bring to the study sessions.
Our study sessions, Dan, they consist of me hammering him question after question after question after question on Rashi, on the text. How does this conflict with this? Why would it? I mean, that's and I hopefully keep him on his toes, and hopefully over time I've increased the intellectual capability beyond my fourth grade questions. I hope so. I hope so.
Me too. We're just trying to get to where they were 20 years ago. David, it was a pleasure. I'm so glad we sort of been on this together. We got to know these guys really sort of similar at the same time. I know they absolutely adore you. Appreciate your support. I do. So thank you so much. I know you're a very busy guy, so appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.